Welcome back to Beauty Boss Millionaire. I'm your host, Felicia Fracassi, and the objective of this episode is really just to help entrepreneurs develop the sound decision-making skills. We're on part 2. As you know, all business owners really need to have really good decision-making skills and leadership skills that are needed to effectively run a business.
Welcome back to the Beauty Boss Millionaire podcast with daily on-the-go episodes packed with testimonies and business tips to help you create financial freedom through entrepreneurship. Hosted by the owner of Fracassi Lashes and the Blow Dry Lounge, the Beauty Boss Millionaire herself, Felicia Fracassi.
We left off with just the consequences to the decision because when you're making a decision, it's good to look at it through all angles. And this, by the way, happens within, sometimes it could be a minute, or if it's a bigger decision, you might need to think about it over a few days on how you're going to act within your company because remember, you always have to be a few steps ahead. And what I often do is I always have a scenario of how something should go good, or if something goes bad, what am I going to need to do? Even gauging my customers. When I'm on the floor, by the way, and I'm looking at the customer from afar off, and usually someone's handling them, and then I'm looking at the customers that are already in queue, and I'm kind of just looking around. And one thing that I really feel like is really important that you have is even as you're making these decisions, that you're also able to kind of gauge the energy in the room. We'll get into that next, but I really want to speak a little bit about these decisions. You know, if you see someone's upset, there should be some type of line of action how you're going to handle it. Whatever it is, it could be upset, dissatisfied, could be a good thing that they need, or the whole point is customer satisfaction and how you're going to make that decision to handle something. Or worst case scenario, it could be internally. There could be an internal problem within your company that's going on. How do you handle that? And lastly, there could be a big, huge mistake, a big, huge problem that happened. What decision are you going to make to fix that? That's the things that we are going to be focusing on. So now that you've analyzed the consequences, make your decision. Just go ahead, make your decision. Now that you've identified your goal, you've gathered all the necessary information, and you weighed the consequences, just make the decision. There's some people that don't ever make it to this stage where they don't make a decision because they deal with indecisiveness. And I've seen great entrepreneurs get stumbled with being indecisive. I have a family member that is so indecisive, they don't ever know what they're going to do up until the last minute. And then when they make that decision, they still question, is that the right decision? If you are an indecisive person, please stop torturing yourself. Do all these 3 things first that involve a decision and then quickly make the decision. Because a lot of people suffer from anxiety and they suffer from different things. And sometimes you just have to trust your instincts. Step 5, once you've actually made your final decision and you put into action, just kind of evaluate as you go if this was a good decision, if it wasn't, and kind of just see how it goes. Because it's going to help you further develop decisions and problems in the future. And you can always make changes along the way. Another thing you might want to take into account when you're making a decision is timing. Timing is everything. You know, it can be so fragile. You know, there's been times in my company where I wanted to make a decision to expand, but because the previous operation was so delicate that I had to wait until it was strong. Like, for example, I'm in the process of opening another store right now, but I refused to open it. Everyone's like, all right, let's go. Let's open it. You know, my team, I got 2 managers that are willing to relocate, and one's going to do 1 month there. The other one's going to do another month there. But me as a leader, you know, it's important that you make the decision. I base my actions off of, how the team's looking. And I'm thinking to myself, well, one manager has called out 3 times in the last month, which is abnormal for this person. I don't know if it's just the time of year where everyone wants to go on vacation or what. And then the other manager's like just kind of in la-la land, which they've been hitting all their goals. But when it comes to like being proactive, I don't know if it's because we're coming out of this whole pandemic. I know some things were going on with people's household and families. So I'm actually thinking about bringing in a 3rd person that's totally focused. And I've been watching a few employees that have been really doing a great job and just hitting their numbers and being focused. They're there on time, and maybe having them kind of watch over the operation for a month, and we would provide housing and things like that, because this is really important for our company. We don't want to mess up $150,000 operation minimum. That's the minimum that I put into some of my stores. So it's really important that we analyze the people around us and that we're making these right decisions, because decisions, again, they determine everything from how far you're going to go to, you know, how much you're going to grow. And these are decisions that can affect your company forever, even down to what you choose to share to the public, what you choose to share with your employees. You know, I'm just going to say something really quick. I had a really good friend of mine in Brooklyn, and One thing that he said that kind of just struck me the way he did is that he said, never give people too much access to your information. And I was like, yeah, we all know that. It's like the unknown street talk in the city. But he broke it down into detail, down into the small intricate parts of, you may not realize that you're a wealth of information yourself. Sometimes you don't know who's running for the right motive. You pray that everyone has a pure motive, but some people really do have ulterior motives. They're waiting to get their chance. And some people are so impatient when they don't believe that God's going to provide their own opportunity, that they'll take an opportunity from you. And that's where it can be frustrating, because people are cutthroat. Like I said, this is New York City I'm talking about. He was in a position where someone gained some knowledge from him of an opportunity. And instead of following the code, which should be, all right, that's his opportunity, I just heard about it. Instead, what they did, they were kind of trying to be slick, going around them and try to get the opportunity first. And this is something that happens, and it's unfortunate because it's considered just rude. It's considered, this is something that you shouldn't have to discuss. But people, like I said, they're cutthroat. They'll do whatever they can do to win and be on top. And sometimes they'll try to force their way into an opportunity that wasn't even theirs. And I've seen this happen time and time again in business. It was all because of a simple conversation that happened out in the open that should not have never happened. And as you make decisions in your business, you have to even decide what you choose to disclose to people, what you choose not to disclose. Back in the day, we used to say real G's move in silence, meaning that the people that know stuff, the gangsters, we don't really talk a lot. You putting stuff on the gram before it's even out there, before it's even been, the paperwork's been signed. You talk about something too early. You tell someone, you get people's all hopes up. I actually knew a pastor that used to do this. He would always, in good spirits, get so excited on the pulpit. Oh, God's going to bless us with this building. And we'd be sitting there 3-4 months later. What happened to the building, Pastor? We thought we was going to move in, and things didn't work out. So a lot of times you just wait until the right time to really disclose information, to say something, or even an opportunity. I've learned just from being in business that there's times where you really can't share everything with people. You got to just wait until the right opportunity, and you got to make decisions leading up to that to see if it's going to be the best decision for you ultimately, because you will have people around you that you think that they're with you and they're not. You think that they're supporting you, and there's always a Judas, like Jesus himself had a Judas. That means you might have one too. It's unfortunate, but it happens. And the more you get higher up in business, the more you'll see the Judases, especially when you get to the very tippy top. When you're making a lot of money, there's snakes everywhere, because there are people that are up at that high level. They operate off of either greed, they operate off of ego, they operate off of just wanting to win, this complex of wanting to win. Some people just turn into the Joker at this point. They just do it for fun. Just it's like their life. It's very strange. But I've been at tables where I've seen people that are just monsters at this point in business. And that's why it's really good to have balance, which is another decision. Having balance in your life, making sure that you feel happy, making sure that you feel like you're being fulfilled in the right place that you should be in. Because like I said, this entrepreneur journey isn't for everyone. If you feel like this is kind of taking a toll, you might not want to be the entrepreneur with multi-location, or the entrepreneur that's highly worked and lowly rewarded. You have to be honest with yourself. If something doesn't make you happy, don't do it. And that's something that entrepreneurs constantly are dealing with, all these decisions that can, help or affect you. One last thing I really want to just touch on briefly is, as a leader, you really want to have a backup plan, because I've just learned to be padded in my decisions, where I say, okay, well, I'm going to use this money to pay this. If something doesn't work out, I can still do backup plan C or B or D, whatever it is. When things don't go your way, you really need to have a backup plan. And I really mean this. Back in the day, we always said, don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially if you're new at this. Sometimes you just put a little bit in. In regards to the decision-making skills topic that we're on in the series that we're on, as leaders, making good decisions really comes from the core of your heart, the core of your mind. That's why it has to be rooted in integrity. And we're going to get into that next. The integrity piece. This is the most important piece in business. For a business to run successfully, you must have a heart of integrity, a mind of integrity, and the willpower to constantly be integral in the things that you do. Stay tuned to Beauty Boss Millionaire with Felicia Fracassi.
That's it for today. Tune in tomorrow for the Beauty Boss Millionaire podcast. And don't forget to follow the Beauty Boss Millionaire, Felicia Fracassi, on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Beauty Boss Millionaire.